Sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and could even keep you from the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. Welcome to the No BS Sales School podcast. I'm your host, Walker McKay. I want to share a conversation I had with a client of mine yesterday. I thought it might be relevant for y'all. This client of mine is now a sales guy. He has come from the engineering department of his company. They sell a very technical product, and he's been on the side where the company will receive a proposal or be asked to present some information. And the sales guy will say, "Hey, Jim, we got this specs, whatever. I want you to go and spec this out and tell us how much it'll cost." Well, I'm not defaming salespeople at all, but it took the sales guy maybe 2 or 3 hours max to get here, but it was going to take the engineer 20 to 30 to 50 to 100 hours to figure it out, to come back and then justify, defend, and explain the way that he spec'd out this system. And so it's a lot of work on the engineer. And it's the sales guy who gets most of the credit. Well, now he's on the other side. He got promoted, demoted, some say, to sales. And we were talking yesterday, and we've been, like I say, working together for a couple of months now. And he said, "I see your process, and I really like the process." He said, I come from he said, first of all, I'm a guy, right? So I like to show people how to fix things. I come from the engineering side where all we did was show people how to fix things. And he said, my fear is I become that same sales guy that just goes out and talks, does a bunch of free consulting, and maybe creates a bunch of work for somebody, and we're not going to make the sale, just like before. I was like, okay, I get it. I hear you. The first step towards the fix is recognizing the problem. And this guy was great, very open, very self-aware, able to notice those things. I said, well, first of all, step one, right, is as the engineer, you wanted to come in and show how smart you were and prove to the customer that you had the right fit for them. I said, I want you to flip-flop. I want you to reverse that. He said, what do you mean? And I said, I want you to be skeptical that somebody would even make a change. I said, you know as well as I do that change is hard. And most people, they say they love change as long as that involves somebody else and not them. Right now, y'all are not the 800-pound gorilla. You're not the big one that people are always safe buying. You're the one that's, maybe a little more risky for people to buy. Not quite as well known, especially in the much larger customer area where they're calling into right now. And I said, so I want you to be skeptical that somebody is ready for you. I want you to be skeptical that they would actually make a change. He said, how does that work? He said, do I tell them that, how do I even do that? And I said, well, here's how you do it. I said, remember, we're not going to be telling. We're going to be asking, right? One of our main tenets here at No BS Sales School is ask, don't tell. And instead of kind of leading questions, I want you to be backing away with questions. The goal of questions, right, is to understand our prospects' opinions about their situation. These are level 3 questions. Level 2 questions are having the prospect tell you about his situation. And then level 1 questions are just data questions. How many, how much, when, that kind of stuff. Data. And then situational. Tell me a story. And then level 3 are what are their opinions about their current situation? Digging into what they think about it, what they believe about it. See, most salespeople leave that part to themselves, where they want to tell the other person what they need to think about it. Well, this is where, among the places we screw this up. So I said, all right, here's what we need to do. I said, I want you to recognize that this person has been buying what they've been buying for a reason, right? And they're used to it. And so the first thing you need to ask is, man, I'm happy to talk to you, but why in the world would you want to talk to us? He said, I can ask that? I said, hell yes, you can ask that. And I want you to ask it that way, and I want you to be sincerely curious. Why in the world are you talking to us? What are you hoping we could do? He said, okay, I can see that. That's a good question. And I said, and then when they tell you, right? Maybe what happens is they say, well, we got to get 3 bids or we got to do whatever, right? If they're honest with you. And you could say, okay, makes sense. Hey, if you knew that we probably weren't going to be the cheapest, the last thing we're going to do is waste your time. And then you can say, look, we've got this new console that we sell, and it's different than what you've got right now. And he said, well, how do I tell them that it's different? And I said, well, here's what you need to do. Instead of telling them directly, you'd use a third-party story. Here's what some other people in your situation have told us, you might say. They like the fact that this console allows them to do this and this and this that they weren't able to do before with the old console, but I don't know if you care about those things. Now, why would I say that at the end? Don't know if you care about those things. It's called a takeaway. Some people see it as a move. I would tell you it's just getting to the truth, because how in the hell do you know if somebody cares about those things? You don't. Until somebody tells you they care about something, they don't care about it. Maybe they hadn't thought about it. Maybe you brought that up and they go, oh, actually, I do care about that. That's great. But maybe the things that you think are important aren't important at all to them. So part of this is, what were you hoping we could do that the people you're working with can't? What is it you like about what you currently have? Yep, heard about that, heard that. Yep, that's very good. I like when you've got a great system right now. It's excellent. Here's what I know. I know our system isn't perfect. I can't imagine theirs is perfect. If there were one thing you wish they did better or differently, what would that be? See this, again, another questioning strategy. It's called good, bad. I want you to give them credit for making the decision they did. Congratulate them on their first choice. You've been buying XYZ company. They're a great company. Clearly the things you're doing that for a reason. Tell me what you like about those guys. We're always curious about our competitors. To understand, if you tell somebody, hey, listen, why do you buy that company? Those guys suck. Guess what? You just called him stupid, or you're holding him accountable for a decision that was made by somebody else that he can't change. You're going to make somebody else defensive. There's something that they like, and if it's your competitor, you need to know what that is. What is it you like about that stuff? Always curious. A lot of people buy it. It's a great product. We hear it all the time. And hey, listen, here's what I know. Our stuff isn't perfect. I can't imagine your stuff is perfect. If there's one thing you wish were better or different, what would that be? See, the words matter there. What's one thing you wish they did better differently? And the guy's like, okay, I begin to understand. I see. We're trying to see what they care about. What is something that they hope or wish were different or better? I said, yes, that's where you start. That's where you start. And then we've got this pain test where we dig in and see what are the consequences of those problems. They got a problem, right? They can't do this certain thing. So that's the problem. Most salespeople quit there. But what are the consequences of that problem? What happens because they can't do this? And then the third piece is, how do those consequences impact the person you're talking to? As an example. So let's pretend, let's use this situation, right? Where the new system allows the user to be anywhere in the country and use it, as opposed to a fixed base operation where they have to be in the office, right? So the problem is we're having trouble hiring people to come to the office in our town to run this system on a 24-hour shift. The consequences of that are we're having to pay people more. We're always worried that one person drops out, right? It's a constant concern of ours. And the personal impacts are, if we have one or two people quit, me, the manager, I'm going to have to go sit in there at random odd hours if somebody gets sick or can't be at the office, right? That's the reason people change. The personal impacts of the problem. It's not the problem itself. And my guy is there going, holy shit, I totally get it. I totally get it. It's not about how smart I am with the solution, because we're not even sure what they want the solution to look like yet. What are we trying to fix? Ta-da. Yes. It's what exactly you're trying to fix. The problem is, yes, maybe they need to upgrade their system, but what do they want to upgrade it to and why? What is the reason they'd go through all the hassle to make a change? That's what you have to find out. And here's the thing. Most people will not be willing to make a change. They just won't. What they say is that 5% of your prospects are actively looking for something like you have right now. There's another 20% of prospects who aren't really looking, but if they found a compelling reason and somebody they trusted, they would make a change, right? Which leaves 75% of people you ain't got a shot at. The 5% of people are already looking. They're the ones that are out there, getting 3 bids, RFPs, RFQs, all that kind of stuff. Chances are, there's going to be somebody's going to have the inside track on one of those things. If you're not sure it's you, it's not. If you haven't talked to them before you got the RFP or the RFQ, you pretty much have slim to no chance of getting that deal. It's the 20%, the ones you're ahead of the game on, the ones you're talking to before they have an immediate need, but you're not saying, we've got the best thing, you're going to love it. Instead, hey, look, we got this thing, you may not like it. Are you open to having a conversation? My guess is you've got something perfect right now, right? Because that's the truth. They're not looking for something right now. Maybe what they have is perfectly good. All of a sudden, my man, the engineer, is like, holy cow. What I need to figure out is not the technical problem. What I need to figure out is what's the problem? What's the personal impacts that those problems and consequences are causing the person I'm talking to? I'm like, you got it, man. Put that engineering brain to work. Let's show you a process so you can do that. Walker McKay with No BS Sales. If you're struggling with how to do this, if you believe you or your sales team are talking too much, not asking questions, not understanding what's really going on, happy to have a conversation with you. 803-917-2817. Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you're struggling to close deals, then I want to invite you to take my free mini course, where you'll learn the 7 most expensive sales mistakes that will cost you time, money, and credibility. So be sure to click the link in the show notes or go to www.7salesmistakes.com. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast.